Hello and welcome to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, day four of finding grace through Replenish. In yesterday's video, I looked at why do we do Savasana, what is Savasana, and why it's so important to do, and how this is the ultimate state of grace. And in this evening's video, I would like to look at the first part of Shavasana, how to get into Shavasana so that we're actually in Shavasana. I often say to people, just laying down on your mat is not Shavasana. That's just kind of laying down and hanging out. There is a way to do it appropriately, right? If we just lay there with our arms all spread out and everything, that's not Shavasana, and I'll explain why in a second. And if we lay all curled up, that's not Shavasana. If we lay with our feet up, or if we're in Supta Baddha Konasana, that's not Shavasana. And so when we come into Shavasana, we come into it in a very specific way. And the reason why we come into it in this very specific way is because, as I talked about yesterday, Shavasana is corpse pose. That's what it means, meaning we're emulating a dead body. And if you're emulating a dead body doesn't, lay out. A dead body isn't moving. A dead body isn't clenched in. A dead body is it just is. And so we need to put our body into a position where we can allow our body to just be. And if we're outstretched too far or curled in too much, then our body cannot just be. So, coming into Shavasana, we want to bring our body onto, I have a block handy just to use. We'll bring our body onto our mat. And when we're on our mat, we want to make sure that we allow our body to come completely down. Let's see, maybe I'll move a little bit further over this way so you guys can see me better. So when we bring our body to the mat, I like to come down and first have my feet up so that I can lift my hips up and make adjustments. And then I want to extend my legs out. And when I extend my legs out, I don't want to have my legs out like super wide, because if they're super wide, then my hips have to work a little bit in order to hold them out like that. Likewise, I don't want them to be totally in, because now this is the dentist chair position, like this. This is what I call the dentist chair position, where you're holding your body in and you're not letting your body relax. So you want to have your feet about hip distance apart, and allow your feet to flop open. Now your hips can release and everything can relax from the lower part down. If you have, yes, Chico, I love you too, thank you. Chico loves Shavasana. If you have any issues with your low back or tight hamstrings, then that's where blocks come in handy. And you can place a block under each thigh, or you can roll up a towel and just let that sit nicely. You want to have it just underneath the thigh. You might play with, how far down or up you want it. But this will just allow that lower part of your spine to lengthen out and settle into the mat. You don't want to use your blocks on the bottom here to rest your ankle or your feet. Although you might think, okay, I'm elevating my legs, so the lower part of my spine will relax. And that is true, but then you're leaving the rest of your leg unsupported. And so the muscles actually have to work in order to hold it there. So if you're putting anything underneath your leg, it's somewhere along the thigh so that the rest of the leg can release downward. If you are up like this or in Supta Baddha Konasana, as I said, your body still has to work in order to keep it there. This is why this and this is not Shavasana. Only when your legs are extended about hip distance apart and your feet flop open can your lower part of your body truly relax in order to come into this stillness position. Then it comes to the upper part of the body. So oftentimes either people have their hands resting on their belly, which is not Shavasana, because if I have them resting on my belly, my shoulders curl in. And then I can allow that free flow of breath that we talked about from the very first week, right? I want as vast of a space to be available to me here so that my Chico can lay on me, right? I want that vast space so I have that space to grow into as I'm lying in stillness. So with your hips settled into the mat, your shoulders should be allowed to settle down as well. And what I like to do is once my hips are settled, then I take one shoulder and lift it up toward my ear, pull it back, and wrap my shoulder blade around my spine. And then I let my arm come out to the side. Notice it's close to my body. It's not touching my body. It's just a little bit away from my body. My palm is facing upward, and then just letting my palm relax, right? Doing that then with the other shoulder, lifting it up toward my ear, pulling my shoulder blade around and down my spine and letting that release. So now my shoulders are open, my arms are soft and relaxed, and this whole from my shoulders down are nice and released. Once you are here, right, you don't want to have your arms out here because my heart has to pump too hard to bring blood to that so that this upper part of my body cannot truly relax. Just as if I'm curled in, I close off my breath and I can't have optimal breath. So just out to the side, shoulder blades are wrapping my spine so my shoulders are open. Now I want to gently lift my head up, lengthen my neck out, and softly put it back down. And I do want to reach out through the crown of my head so that I have a nice long spine. Once I come into this is now time to allow my breath to go. I no longer want to be breathing my Ujjayi breath. I want to just allow my breath to flow naturally. So I'm going to now let a nice sigh out and totally release into the mat. With my gaze softened. You don't have to focus on closing your eyes because maybe that's a little bit too much work, but just soften the face and the gaze and let the breath flow naturally, allowing your body to just be in this position. Apparently it's a really good position because Chico is nice and cozy and he approves of all of the space I made for him on my torso. So it's really important in your Shavasana to allow your spine to be long and your limbs to be released outward but close into your body so that your heart doesn't have to work too hard to pump, but you're not also holding your muscles in to keep them closed off. They just want to be. So that nice long body position you have in a mountain pose is the exact same position you want to emulate on the mat, only once you come into that position, you let your breath release and your body to soften. Tomorrow, I'll look at the next part of Shavasana. I hope to see you on your mat practice soon, and we will look for you tomorrow. We'll see what Chico does in Shavasana tomorrow. Have a great night.